adjust that mirror a little bit. There we go. Yes, you can come along with me on the ride home today. You can listen to all the bits of nonsense I say unedited en route. How about that? So probably not going to actually say a lot, but hey, if you want to come for a ride along, come for a ride along. I'm sure I'll find something to talk about. I've never done this before. Just thought, sorry, I'll just show a video of me, unedited, riding along. It's going to be completely boring, you do realise that, but heck, my son will probably love it. He loves watching me riding along. And I do love my son, so he can see this and go, oh look. Should be us going across on green in a minute. A couple of cars are coming over on red, I can see that. We're not going to get over before that changes to red. We're not going to get over. That's because so many cars came over on red from the other side that they stopped the cars that were able to go over on green going over. So we have to wait our turn now. Kudos to the car in front. He could have gone over. He was on amber, but he was a good boy and he didn't. So, right. So now we've got to wait for those people across the road to come over here. And then it'll be us again. But you probably find that quite a few of those will go over on the red light again. They always go over on the red light. I don't think I've ever come down here and not seen people going over there on the red light. Now you watch when it goes green, well amber for us, it'll be on red for them. And you watch how many people come across while it's still on amber for us, which is mean reds for them. There you go, two of them. I'll close this visor a bit so you can hear me a bit better. It does feel strange having a backpack on. As you can see, here are the Christmas lights here in Cardiff. Well, some of the Christmas lights anyway. Probably tell my bike sounds different today, look. That's because, well, a few days ago now, I put an air filter on instead of an air box. I've got to put a bigger jet on. It's got a 92 at the moment in the carburetor, and I've got to put a bigger jet on to a 95 just to give it a little bit extra fuel to correspond to the the larger amount of air that it's got going into the carb. But it is a bit nippier already, I've got to be honest. It is nippier, and as you can hear, it sounds nice too. Come on dude, what lane do you want to be on? And if anyone decides they want to beep at me, we're on red. I know sometimes people think it's green all the time on it. It's not, it's actually on red at the moment. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Sorry, that was on a friend's house as I came out. That's stuck in my head. That should be us in a couple of seconds. He's gone over on a red light, I reckon. Thought so. Yeah, it's a little bit rainy. I'm not going to go too fast down there. It's actually a 30-mile-an-hour limit. And I'm afraid, you know, you riding along with me, you are going to hear the vibrating of my mudguard, my front mudguard, because it needs to be changed. I can't change it till I get paid. So you are going to hear it vibrating at a certain speed. There's nothing I can do about that. We are on green, people. But I've got to be honest, as you can hear, it does sound nice when you accelerate, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds the same as it did before. You know, since I put the air filter, not exactly what I meant. The engine is the same, the sound is the same, it's just louder. See? Excuse my coughing. I think it sounds nicer. It made it a bit louder putting an air filter on instead of an air box. So there you go. I like it, I've got to be honest. I have to be honest though, I have been driving around slightly in too high a gear just so that I don't get that vibrating from the mudguard so noticeable like I am now. I have found that the bike will need a bigger jet. I've got a 95 jet for the carb waiting to go in. It's just finding a day when I'm off work, not doing something, and it's actually dry weather. And oh great, that was something I was hoping not to do, was go through a puddle of water. I'll explain why I didn't want to go through a puddle of water, which I just did. Yeah, the reason I didn't want to go through a puddle of water is because when I swapped the air filter for an air box, in the air box you had 3 connections. Now, one of them was for where the air filter goes, so that was basically the air filter. One of them was for the EGR, and one of them is for what's called the crankcase breather, which lets the engine breathe basically. Now obviously you don't want water to get in there. Now with the filter, in theory, water could get through the filter. So, you know, I'm a bit wary about that. So what I've done is I've put the, I cut up an old filter, well, an old filter, it's not an old filter, it's a new filter, but one that I wasn't using. And cut up a new filter, because I got 2 for the price of 1. And I cut up a new filter, the same as the sort I actually put in the air filter. I cut the mesh out of that. And what I've done is basically, making sure I don't go into this car just here. What I've done is basically, I've cut that up and made my own homemade versions. So that is attached to the EGR and to the... Sorry, I can concentrate on talking, honestly. That's on the EGR, and also as a homemade filter, made out of the filter I should say, but part of it. So I say homemade filter on the crankcase breather, so stuff can get out if needed, but you know, an air can get in. But the thing is, I'm not so sure about water, because we don't want water to get up in there. I'm a bit worried that water could get up when I go through a puddle and go splash up and go into the crankcase. That's the bit I'm worried about. That's why I did not want to go through a puddle. I'm still trying to think of ways to get around that. If I'm honest, I'm trying to think of ways around that. I've thought about, because when you've got an air box, which is what it did have, when you've got an air box, you have a box, so any water is going to go against the box, and the air that's inside the box isn't going to get water in it, which I can see the point in that. It was a good idea to have an air box in that sense, but an air filter is a lot better in a lot of different ways. So what I've got to really do is look into how you stop the water getting in. I think people just use a special crankcase breather filter. If they do, I can just swap what I've put on there temporarily for one of those when I get paid, so I'll look into that later on, because that's what I'm planning to do. Just got to find a way to make sure, because at the moment there is a filter on it, but I'm a bit worried that water could get up and go splush into it, because we do ride around in a lot of rain. And I'm talking a lot of rubbish, aren't I? Well, I'm not talking a lot of rubbish, I'm just talking a lot. and I tend to talk rubbish, so no, I don't really tend to talk rubbish. Let's get across here anyway. And there you go. So yep, you can ride along with me today. Lovely weather, isn't it? Have a little ride along. It's nothing exciting. It's just a ride home from Cardiff. I work in Cardiff and my friends live in Cardiff. So this is just a ride home from Cardiff. That's all it is. Ride home from Cardiff. It's nothing different to what I do, well, pretty much every day really. This is on a Friday. Go on then. Just so they can go past. Oh, lovely. We've got to stop again now. Right, I thought maybe they wanted to get past the bike and come on this side, you see, but no, they didn't want to do that. Fair enough. Turn it up, turn it up. Oh, that song's stuck in my head. Do you think I might have picked the wrong lane to change into again for speed? Makes you wonder. Nah, we'll do it right, won't we? We're moving along, that's all that matters. I've actually got my visor open, hopefully you can hear me. It's quite windy. It's very wet. Well, hey, never mind, eh? That vibrating is my mind. God, I said that already. Don't know why I said that already, because I said I was going to put this out unedited anyway, didn't I? So there you go. You'll already know that. Do I repeat myself? Do I really? Say it isn't so. It's not so. The lights are on red. There you go. I'm trying not to sniffle. I am trying. I'm very trying, I know. My friends tell me this. No, they don't really. 120 for normal and 124. Obviously 0.9 on the end of each for diesel. Oh. Funny, diesel's dear, and they tell you that, you know, they were trying to tell us all to go out and buy new cars that run on diesel, and then when you do, they charge you a fortune for petrol, don't they? Stick more on top, and they'll have to stick more on top now because Europe have just sued Britain because apparently we're not meeting emission standards quick enough for diesel. So they're suing us for a fortune. So the government's already come out with a load of measures they're going to be bringing out in various councils and stuff around the UK to make up some of that money by imposing taxes, etc., specifically on diesels. I believe one of them is if you live in London, you're basically buggered and right if you drive a diesel, because if I remember rightly, they're planning to put an extra £5 a day on diesel vehicles, and there's quite a few councils that have talked about introducing a tax whereby if you're in a diesel vehicle and you've stopped with your engine running, say like you're outside of school picking up your kids or something, or waiting for someone, then they can actually fine you. I can't remember how much it was now, £50 or £70 on the spot. So that's not a good thing, is it? I mean, it doesn't affect us motorbikers, but it probably does affect, what, I don't know how many cars there are that are diesel. I would have thought at least quarter to half the cars are diesel, maybe more. And then of course there's the trucks as well. So yeah, it's going to have an impact on, well, it's going to have an impact on particularly the price of shopping, I would have thought, because you can guarantee that, what, most if not all of the vehicles that transport shopping from trucks down to vans, are going to run on diesel. So you can guarantee that over the next few months, as those extra measures kick in to charge people extra, you can pretty much guarantee that that's going to have to pass down to the consumer. So we're going to end up paying more, even if we don't drive diesel, we're going to end up paying more, you know, just for shopping and things, basically. Turn it up, turn it up. Oh, that song is stuck in my head. You just hate it when you get a catchy song stuck in your head, especially if it's not one you're really a big fan of or anything. Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. Never mind. That's another thing I'm getting when I get paid at the end of the month. Because I'm doing a lot of my riding is in the rain, and because it's raining pretty much every day now, and it's getting freezing cold as well, I decided I needed something to stop my visor fogging up, so I'm going to get one of these things, an Oxford thing, I can't remember what you call it now, but it's like a face cover. It goes over your nose and your mouth, stops your visor fogging up so you can have your visor closed, and it diverts the warm air that you breathe out, diverts that down to your neck and your cheeks so that you get nice and warm. Just under 15 quid, so I should be getting one of those. Gotta admit, I'm looking forward to it, because I've got the visor slightly closed at the moment and it's already steaming up. So it'd be nice to have the visor open, the visor closed, sorry, and not have it steaming up, to be honest. That will be nice. There's no one coming up there anyway. Oh well, I'll wait till after these cars are come past. Wait till after I get past these cars and I change over. It's alright, I moved over into that lane because I thought maybe some vehicles would be coming past. There's normally vehicles coming, well, most of the time there's vehicles coming out of the exit road onto the entrance road, if it's onto the A470 there. Never mind, not to worry. As you can see, it's raining but not too bad. There's the sign for Castell Coch. Castell Coch apparently means red castle, and apparently it was built as a folly by somebody, probably an Englishman. I can't imagine a Welsh person building a castle just as a folly. And apparently it wasn't used as a castle, it was used as a folly, as a building to show that he basically was pretty passionate about his mistress, apparently. I have no idea who built it, of course, but that's what I've heard. Well, that's a worrying noise. Going under the bridge, I heard this thump, thump. No idea what it was, it weren't me. Been going over the bridge at the time I was going underneath it. It's really weird when your visor's steamed up a bit. But there you go, at least it is closed. There's a little tiny bit of a gap, so you're going to hear some wind noise. I'm not sure why I'm talking so much. I think it's because I know that if I put this up on YouTube, I'll put it up and edited. And much as it's embarrassing to show how many stupid things I say sometimes, I suppose, you know, just rambling on and that, you know, it's better than having complete silence, I suppose. I'm getting soaking wet. Poor driving conditions. No mate, it was poor driving conditions the other day in the clip I uploaded to YouTube the other day. That was poor driving conditions. that was spray everywhere. You couldn't go above about 40 miles an hour. This is pretty good driving conditions compared to that. Trust me, I can see a lot easier where I'm going today than I could when I was in that blooming, and that was in daylight as well, when I was in that clip I uploaded to YouTube, mate. It's the sign saying it's poor driving conditions. I can see better in the dark at the moment than I could on that. Sorry about that. It's that tune, it's stuck in my head. Yes, it's raining, as you can probably tell. I don't know, I'll try and wipe this, hang on. Not sure if that's helped or not. I couldn't see if I was catching the camera, the lens itself or not. I'm trying to concentrate on the road. Hopefully I got the camera lens nice and you can see what I'm doing. I'm sure to say you can see where I'm going. There's the T4 just overtaking me. If you're on the T4 as it overtakes me, hello. Or should I say bye? Because the camera records about 35 minutes at a time in full HD 1080p, the sound being recorded separately will be slightly out of sync because there is a slight second or so gap when it switches over to new recording. Come on. So I was going to pull into the next lane, but I didn't need to, there was only one car. I just accelerated a little bit. It's very wet weather though, I've got to be honest, but it's not as bad as the other day. But you always have to be careful in wet weather, but I have to say I've ridden more in wet weather than I have ever ridden in dry weather. I think that's just something about living in Wales. It rains more than it's sunny, I think. I think most people that live in Wales would agree with me there. It does feel, at least, like it rains more than it's sunny. Maybe that's just the way it feels, but it does seem to be you have many more drab, dull, dreary, rainy days than you do nice, sunny, bright and lovely sunshiny days. I said sunshine twice there, didn't I? Yeah, but you know what I mean. Use my little visor thing to clean my bike visor for a minute. There we go. Guess what I mean? That little thing on my finger there. Little bike visor wipe. I think I might open this visor up a tiny bit more actually. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to go a bit slower, like around town, so like if I was driving around Porth or Cardiff or through the towns. Then I tend to have my visor open even if it's raining because you're doing a lot slower speed. But when it's raining, oh great, I just rode through another puddle. I just hope there's no water going into my crankcase through the breather. This is what I've been worried about, riding through weather like this where there's a lot of rain. Great. That was a great big puddle I just went through, lovely. There's nothing I can do about it, apart from just hope that basically nothing gets in there. Actually, there is something I could do about it. I could put a couple of sides up underneath to surround it a little bit, give it a little box almost, not literally an air box, but give it a little box to prevent water going up it. Yeah, that's a good idea. As soon as it gets dry, I'll do that. I can do that, that's a good idea. That's solved my problem then. Just lift this visor up a little bit. There we go, we're in Pontypridd now. And I'm getting pinged in the eye by water. I'm surprised they haven't changed the red. Oh, they are changing to red. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'm sort of gonna, shouldn't have said I'm surprised they haven't changed the red. Maybe they wouldn't. Well, no, that wouldn't make any difference. They can't hear me, can they? Like, hello, traffic lights. Can you change to green? They can't hear me. There's the 120 to carefully. Want to go to the forest or Landtrisent or the University Prusgol? Well, the University is Prusgol, obviously, that's just a Welsh for it. Then what you want to do is go to the left back there. We're now approaching a 30-mile-an-hour zone, so let's slow down a little bit, do 30 miles an hour. Even though this vehicle's going past me at more than 30 miles an hour. He's in a big 4x4, he can do what he likes. I think the lights are on red. It looks like they're on red. Yeah, I thought so. Thought I could see red lights. From around the corner. And I could, it was the vehicles all queued up. I'll tell you what's strange. It's only happened since I've changed the airbox over, but that alarm diode always seems to have some light going through it. Always seems to be on. And it's a lot brighter when it's actually, the alarm is actually activated. But that's always seems to be on now. I don't know why. Well, not being funny, but if my modifications can go through puddles like this, there is no way that it's going to have a problem, that's for sure. What is this guy doing? What a silly thing to do. Obviously made a wrong turn, didn't he? Does he not realise if he's made a wrong turn, perhaps he doesn't know Ponty, but if he's made a wrong turn, you can go down here, go round to the right, and you can go down the road and you can come back up here. And it comes back up there. And people are thinking he's talking to himself and gesturing. But no, basically, you stay in this lane, you go around here. I'll show you actually. I'll show you what I mean. He could have gone, it literally wouldn't have held him up because he could have just gone down here. Get in that lane just there, on the right hand side that you can see with a big arrow that says go to the right. And that takes you back round. You go up here, and you turn right there, it takes you back to the town centre. You could have done that. But obviously I'm guessing he doesn't know Pontypridd. Fair enough. And if you didn't know Pontypridd, you probably wouldn't know that. But if you did know Pontypridd, then that would have been a lot easier to do. Would have saved him holding up traffic. Who's beeping and why? Oh, bugger. They're not beeping at me trying to tell me my lights aren't on, are they? No, my lights are on. That's me thinking, what are they beeping at me for? They're not beeping at me then, obviously. I always get paranoid when someone beeps. I think, my light blown. It just, I don't know, if someone beeps and it's anywhere near you, or they flash their lights, you instinctively think, they're beeping at me, unless it's night time, and I did have a bulb blow. And I didn't know the bulb was blowing, and it was getting darker, and I didn't know the bulb was blowing because it was at that point where I'm driving. It was round about here actually, not just here, but where the street lights are, so I didn't know the light had blown. And I was driving along and somebody flashed me and I was like, huh? And I drove a bit further down and somebody flashed me again. I was like, what the hell? And in the end, I leant forward, I put my hand over the light like you saw me doing just there, well, back there, and I realised my lights weren't on. I was like, oh bugger, that was when the regulator rectifier went. Just after the MOT, well, in the afternoon / evening, late afternoon, early evening, after the MOT, which had passed, funnily enough, for flying colours, no problem at all. But there you go. So, it's weird how that blue diode for the arm is always on. Isn't that weird? I've never noticed it being on like that before. But there you go, going past the speed camera. But anyway, let's keep up with the traffic, shall we? Let's close the visor a little bit. This is the roundabout where I wrongly assumed somebody was going to go straight over. I could have got across there, but I wasn't going to take the chance. Let's go over the McDonald's bridge, shall we? Don't want to go too fast because speed limit here. It's just fast enough to get up here. Oh, it's alright, they saw me. Good. Didn't know if they'd seen me or not then at the traffic light. Pedestrian crossing, basically.